to raise awareness to the American people and to the Congress that the safety of the United States could be put at risk should Attorney General Eric Holder approve the release of trained terrorists in our country. I repeat, released into this country, not held in jails, but let free in our neighborhoods and our communities. And this, Eric Holder now expects us to take his word that the detainees are not a threat, and that is unacceptable. The Attorney General expects this Congress to sit idly by and the American people to sit idly by until he announces he has released the Uyghurs held at Guantanamo Bay into the United States, into your neighborhood. In fact, he will not allow career FBI and government employees to even brief members of Congress on this, so much for this administration's promise of transparency and accountability. Let me be clear. These detainees are trained terrorists who are caught in camps affiliated with al-Qaeda. Those who would use terror are terrorists, no matter their intended target. There have been published reports that these detainees were members of the Eastern Turkestan Islamic Movement, ETIM, a designated terrorist organization affiliated with al-Qaeda. The detainees held at Guantanamo Bay are trained terrorists. They were trained in facilities affiliated with al-Qaeda and Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the mastermind of 9/11, who took pleasure in beheading Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl. Last month, the U.S. Treasury froze the assets of Abdul Haq, the leader of the ETIM. The Treasury Department targeted Haq as part of their efforts to shut down the al-Qaeda support. So here, Treasury designates Haq as a terrorist, and Eric members of the terrorist group to walk the streets. Upon making the designation, Treasury Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence said, Abdul Haq commands a terror group that sought to sow violence and fracture international unity at the 2008 Olympic Games in China. What if our people had not picked up these terrorists and they had gotten their training and had gone back to China and had blown up one of the Olympic facilities when many American citizens were there? What if? How is it that the U.S. Treasury Department can declare that this is a terrorist group that, quote, sought to sow violence, end quote, while the U.S. Justice Department asserts that members of the same group caught at terrorist training camps and held for 7 years at Guantanamo should be released free and clear into the United States. And yet this Congress and the American people are left in the dark about the administration's plans to release the detainees. If the Congress doesn't really care and want to hold oversight hearings, then certainly the American people have a right to know who the Attorney General is asking to place in their communities. Last Friday, I called on this administration to declassify and provide the American people with information regarding the capture, the detention, and the threat assessment of each detainee they intend to release inside the United States. Regardless of their intended targets of terror, the American people deserve to know whether they have been further radicalized due to their exposure to al-Qaeda leaders like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. They have been down in Guantanamo with some of the most violent people that have ever walked the earth. And now, after the radicalization that may have taken place, they want to now, Eric Holder now wants to release them into our neighborhoods, into our communities. I worry about the impact that these Uyghurs release will have on our national security. I've talked to several former members who have worked in our intelligence communities this day. To a person, they all believe that this would be dangerous for the United States. They all said, what message does their release into the U.S. send to al-Qaeda and other terrorist networks? In closing, how can Attorney General Holder guarantee that the released Uyghurs will not stay in contact with al-Qaeda and provide them with intelligence within the U.S.? Has Eric Holder never heard of radicalization in prison? Some people go in prison and come out worse than they went in. If the Attorney General cannot or will not answer these questions, then he should not consider releasing them. I ask you, please, the American people need to have all this information before a decision is made. And with that, I yield back the balance of my time.